Welcome to the Business for Aligned Women podcast. I'm Honey. I'm a coach working primarily with women and specialising in aligned business, personal transformation and embodiment. Each week here I'll be sharing business strategy, business advice, tips and tools for you to think more deeply, for you to get more self-aligned and for you to start your week in the most conscious and intentional way possible. To begin with today, I wanted to say thank you so much to anyone who's recently left me a comment or sent me a DM saying how much they're getting out of the podcast, how much they're enjoying it, or how powerful it is for them. It's such a lovely thing to be able to support women, even women that I'm not working with, in a way that is going to push them forward, to get them kind of out of their heads into action and be able to do this in this really intimate and beautiful format of a podcast. So I love when you send me DMs. I especially love when you share the podcast in your stories. I love when you leave comments. I absolutely love hearing everyone's feedback, because if you've ever created a podcast, it's very much like throwing something into the void. You don't really know who you're talking to. You don't know what they're receiving. You don't know what their reaction is. So I really love it. And I wanted to ask anyone who has the feeling that they would like to send a DM or send a comment to please take 5-10 seconds out and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts app. When you leave a review, it really helps my work get in front of more people who are like you. It helps more women who need this kind of empowerment and support and advice, and maybe women who can't afford to work with me but really need that little bit of help and that little bit of push. And it helps my community grow, which is so supportive. And especially if you're someone who gets a lot out of the podcast, but you're just not in a position, or you're just not feeling ready to work with me, leaving a 5-star review is such a great way to support my work and ensure that I can continue creating this free, supportive content ongoing, because obviously the podcast is something that I do unpaid, and I do it out of my own time and my own wanting to help and wanting to support people. So leaving a 5-star review, which you can do on Apple, is the absolute most supportive thing that you can do. If you have listened a few times, or if you do enjoy the podcast, I ask you to please take that next step. I like to, as part of my desire to be a really embodied and intentional person, I listen to tons of podcasts and I love tons of podcasts. And often when I find one that I like, I'll binge it. Probably every month I take 10 minutes out and I go through every single podcast that I've been enjoying, and I leave her a 5-star review with a big comment. Why do I like it? What do I like about it? Because I know how important that is. And these people are creating this content, and I'm not paying for it. I'm not giving them anything else. And it's just a way to support these creators that you get to love through your ears. Today, we're going to be talking about Instagram. And we're specifically going to be talking about an energy-aware Instagram strategy. And I wanted to start by explaining what I mean when I say energy-aware. So when I say energy-aware, there's a few things to think about. It's your energy in terms of how much energy do you have during the week? How many hours do you have to create content during the week or the month? How much energy do you have during the day? And how many other things do you need to do with that limited amount of time and energy that you actually have? It's also about looking at kind of all of the things that you need to do in your business, which is truly endless and really overwhelming. And that is one thing that a coach can help you with, is to say, yes, you can do all of these 10,000 things, but these 3 things are the next best step to take. We have so many things that we have to do. We're constantly being pulled in different directions. Right now, I can tell you 20 different things that I want to do in my business. They're all great. They're all going to benefit my business, but I don't have that much time or energy to do them all. So we need to pick and select things that are going to give us the biggest return on investment for our time and our focus and our energy that we put into them. What are going to be the most beneficial? What are going to pay us back for that time? And that might be instantaneously paying us back. But with content marketing, which is a kind of marketing and is not the only kind of marketing, and that's what social media marketing is, it's often that it's not going to pay off quickly. It's going to be something that you need to build up over time, and you need to trust that consistently creating content is building trust in your potential clients. Especially a platform like Instagram is where people build trust really, really slowly. For instance, this year I have worked with and I have had chemistry calls with people who have been following me for more than 5 years. I think someone who's been following me for more than 7 years. So she's been following my content, engaging, enjoying, getting benefit from it, feeling supported by it, feeling seen and heard and held for 7 years. And this year was the first time that she paid to work with me, and she paid for an $88 training, which I'm taxed 45% on. Then we minus the deductions of what it costs to host that training. And so I'm probably getting less than $19 for 7 years of being a creator that this person really, really enjoyed, like really connected to, really got a lot out of. 7 years, $18. This is what I mean by return on investment. We need to think about where we're at, how much energy we have, how much time we have. When I say energy and time, it might be that you're a low energy person like myself. Maybe you're chronically ill. Maybe you have little kids. Maybe you're working a full-time job and writing a book while you're trying to run a full-time business. It might not be that you're sick. It might just be that you're being pulled in a lot of different directions, meaning that you only have a fraction of energy for the marketing of your business. And we need to be really conscious and really intentional with what we do with that small chunk of energy that we have. If right now that small chunk of energy is 100% going to Instagram, this is a problem, and I have a workshop coming up that's going to help support you. If right now Instagram is the only place that you're doing any marketing, free piece of advice, you need to sit with that and you need to come up with a different plan. Yes, you might want to still continue there, but it cannot be the only place in 2023 or beyond. One of the things about aligned business is like getting so incredibly intentional and conscious with our actions and how we spend our time and expel our energy and our focus. What is taking our attention? Often I see in my clients, I've had clients who are running a business, have little kids, and they're spending 8-9 hours a day scrolling Instagram. And that's having a really bad effect on their business, and it's having a really bad effect on their family and the raising of their children. I'll be clear, that is really, really common in my clients. That is extremely common. If you're doing that, it's almost impossible that your business will grow, because you're just not leaving enough time and energy for things that are actually going to help it grow and help build success. That means that if we don't have any time, or we're not spending much time on the things that are actually going to push our business forward, this is a problem. We need to look at how much time we're spending, how much focus, energy we're spending, and kind of massage that through all of the things that we need to be doing, and care more about is probably the most important part of this conversation. Care more about, worry less about things that matter less in the scope of things. If we actually look at how a business is functioning, how it finds clients, how it makes sales, we need to be worrying about the areas that actually do those things. For instance, My podcast is the highest way that I make sales. I've invested in more podcasting equipment. I've used lots of different apps that I pay for in order to produce a podcast. I used to just hit record it, slap it into GarageBand, send it out. Now it's edited multiple times before it goes out. Maybe you don't notice that. But we do all of these different things. We change the name, we change the titles to be better for SEO. And if I was spending 8-9 hours a day on Instagram, I wouldn't have the wherewithal or the bandwidth to make those changes on the thing that is actually getting people to sign up to work with me, the thing that's actually getting people to actually getting the business to make a sale. Okay. I want to kind of open up this conversation with a question that I'm planning to ask at my upcoming Energy Aware Instagram strategy workshop. This question is, I want you to get really honest, and I want you to maybe sit down with yourself, maybe sit with a piece of paper and journal. Maybe you think about it when you're at a cafe having a coffee with a journal tomorrow. I want you to know that it's coming from the deepest, most caring, most empathetic and compassionate part of me. And sometimes people might not get that it's coming from there, but when they look at the long-term impact and the future outcomes, they can see how this actually is compassionate and empathetic. The question is, I want you to think about your business over the last 3 years, or if you've been in business for less than that, however long. And I want you to think about Instagram. I want you to think about how much your account has grown in the last 3 years. I want you to think about how many more followers you have. And I want you to think about how high your engagement is. If you don't know what that is, we'll talk about that later when we talk about analytics. I want you to think about how much money you have made from Instagram in your business over the last 3 years. If when you go through those questions, it's not much, or maybe you have got more followers, but you haven't made any more money. Maybe it is that you have got tons of followers and you have made tons of money, and that is amazing. And I wish I was you. It's a small group of people on Instagram, but it does still happen. I dare say it doesn't really happen to people who aren't doing Instagram or influencing full time or content creating full time, but it's possible. It's definitely possible. If the answer is, you know what, it's grown, but I haven't made any more money, or I've missed a really important part of this question. Your last question to consider when you ask yourself, what's happened on my Instagram over the last 3 years, is how much energy, effort, time, and worry and mental energy you have put into Instagram in the last 3 years, or however long you've been on it for. I want you to think about how it's grown, how much money you've made, how much it's benefited, what community have you built there. And then I want you to really get honest about how many hours you have spent creating content, coming up with plans, posting it, checking it, and more importantly, worrying about it. God forbid, talking about the fact that you're worrying about it. And I want you to really honestly look at the balance of that equation and ask yourself, is this what I want to continue doing? This is the balance. Is this where I want my business to continue and how I want to continue to spend my time and energy over the next 5 years? If those questions, now that I've properly said them all, have brought anything up for you, having an energy aware Instagram strategy is for you. So I want you to be clear. I'm not saying that we give up on Instagram. And I'm being really clear and honest in saying, if you answer those questions and you're like, my Instagram is killing it, I'm making tons of money, I would suggest that you continue putting tons of effort in. But if the response is not that, and it might even be, holy crap, I've spent almost 30 hours a week thinking about creating for Instagram, and my business has been in the red. My business is technically still financially a hobby, or I'm constantly stressed. I'm constantly struggling about how I'm going to get, my next meal ticket. Then we need to look at doing things differently. So having an energy aware Instagram strategy is for anyone who overthinks Instagram, anyone who worries about it, who overcomplicates it in their mind, anyone who is chasing hacks, things like that. Anyone who thinks that having an Instagram profile means that you have a business, okay, that is a ginormous red flag, ginormous red flag. If you're someone who, when you think I'm going to start a new business, which is me at the moment, there's a couple of more businesses brewing and I'm thinking about, all right, what are these first budding seeds of it? And you think about starting that business, the first thing you think is, oh, I better get the Instagram going. You need this workshop. You need this strategy. It's for people who have been trying for a really long time and nothing's working. It's for people who are constantly creating content, being really consistent, but it's just not growing and it's crickets. So people who don't understand what this app, Instagram, requires of them in 2023. And when I say that, I mean Instagram announces what you need to do on the app in order to grow. If you're not part of those conversations, you're not getting that direct advice, come to this workshop and I will lay it all out for you. And I think it's probably going to blow your mind. It's for people who don't understand the algorithm, don't understand how that works, people who don't understand how to grow a community or make sales in their content. So people who don't know how to make actually converting content, I'll be sharing a few ideas and a few ways that might help you in this workshop as a little extra. People who want to start a profitable business, a business that actually is making money, but you've been focusing on Instagram and you cannot imagine how what's happening right now will ever create a healthy income. When I say that, I think there are a group of people that I can think of right now. I know you. I see what you're doing. I know what you're doing. And I know that the way that you're approaching Instagram is destroying your mindset for your business as a whole. And in fact, the way that you're approaching your Instagram might be the sole contributor to sabotaging your entire business and it never, ever, ever getting off the ground. You're never making much money from it because of what you're doing with Instagram and how you're interacting with that. So anyone who's more focused on vanity metrics, so vanity metrics are followers, likes, and views. And these things are nice, but they are not a direct representation of how well a business is doing, I should say. I guarantee you can have a lot of views, a lot of likes, and a lot of followers and not be making any money. And, I've seen couple of clients get really sucked into creating the kind of content that produces likes and follows and comments and shares, but it's never going to be the kind of content that is going to produce sales. That is a really slippery slope to get stuck in, because if your self-worth is coming from those likes and those views, you're going to keep doing it. But if it's something that's actually sabotaging you making money, it's going to get you into a bad place quickly. It's for people who have never thought about checking their analytics, don't know what analytics are, and have never made content in reference to their analytics. What I mean by that is, how often do you look at your analytics and do you pivot what you're doing and your plan from those analytics? Do you ever adjust yourself according to analytics? And if you don't, you should probably come to this workshop. And it's for people who are not marketing anywhere else other than Instagram. As I said at the start, this is something that I'm starting to see a little bit in my clients. And if this is you, I can guarantee maybe your business has been doing pretty well. Last year it calmed down, slowed down. starting to get a bit freaked out about where you'll get money from now, that's because you've put all of your eggs in a basket that is now no longer the same opportunity that it used to be. So I'm running this energy aware Instagram strategy workshop on Monday, the 19th of June, starting at 6:30 p.m. Sydney time. And it will go for about 35 to 45 minutes. And anyone who signs up will get the replay, which they can listen to forever, both in video and audio format. In the workshop, we'll go over everything that I've just covered, everything that I've just touched on. I will share a strategy, I will share my suggestions, and then we'll have space for conversation and Q&A at the end. In the workshop, we're going to be looking at the statistics and the realities of the social media landscape and what's kind of going on with Instagram. What we know from the statistics across the board is going on with Instagram. We'll talk about how to look at your analytics and how to review them. We'll talk about the place of Instagram in business in 2023 because it's very, very different from where it was 3 years ago. I will help you work out what you should be paying attention to and what you should not be caring about, which if you're someone who's anxious or stressed or naturally worries a lot, having anyone give you permission to no longer care about certain things is going to be a boon. It's going to be helpful. I'll give you this new approach specifically for business growth and business success and energetic sovereignty. So when I say that, I mean your Instagram follow account might not grow, but you'll make more money. I mean, you are going to feel more in control of your energy and you will very likely have more time, more energy, and the ability to focus on more things and other things. And especially the ability to spend your time, your focus, and your energy on the things that actually are going to push your business forward, like I was talking about before. It will save you time and energy, and it's a strategy that you can implement immediately. It might take you one day to start implementing this strategy. And I will also be sharing digital hygiene tools for mental and physical health that I suggest and that I use in terms of social media. And I'll also be sharing time-saving tools and resources, including AI, including some external apps that I use to make sure that I'm not spending a ton of time scrolling Instagram. I basically did this workshop for one of my long-term one-to-one clients in the last week because, you know, we're together for 6 months. I'm not going to get her to sign up for a separate little workshop. And she was really mind blown. She was really mind blown by what I talked about and what I shared. And the strategy that I gave her a happiness that I've not seen in her in months, because it made her feel like this was possible, like building the business was possible. And she didn't need to spend 40 hours a week creating content, and she could do other things with her life. If that sounds juicy and you're someone who needs, you know, some more clarity, confidence, empowerment, and some help in directing you and your business in a way that actually gives you more success, I invite you to join this workshop. You can sign up for 88 Australian dollars or 58 US dollars. And if you're someone who, hearing this, that you are guilty of spending way too much time and energy and effort thinking about Instagram, and you can sense in yourself that that it's sabotaging your growth as a person and as a business and the growth of your financial well-being, please, 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 this is an invaluable workshop. It's for the benefit that it will have in your life and your business. It's, you know, absolute pennies. So I'd love to see you at this workshop. Jump on, even if you can't come that time and that date. And I know a lot of you are really interested in Instagram, my thoughts on Instagram, the things that I share. So it will be a lovely way to connect with you. And I would love to, if you can, come live and see your faces and meet some of the people, some of the listeners that I know that are there, but I don't know who they are. It would be absolutely beautiful to see you in this workshop. And I hope that it will be really expansive and actually give you back a ton of freedom. All right, I'll see you next week.